Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words, where we teach you about words in the news.
This word is from a story about Mali's presidential election.
It is a wide-open race with 28 candidates running for president, though 4 of them have been prime minister. There is no government-backed candidate.
A candidate is a person who is running for a political office.
And a candidate could be seeking any elective office, from a national president to a city mayor.
Now, when you hear the word candidate, your English will be good enough to know what this news word means.
For more news words, visit our website at learningenglish.voanews.com.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words.
This word is one you hear in many news stories that deal with violence.
Palestinians Thursday buried an 85-year-old man who died after inhaling tear gas fired by Israeli soldiers to disperse protesters. Palestinian officials claiming him as the first casualty of the conflict this year.
A casualty is a person hurt or killed in a war or in an accident.
In war, a casualty can be a fighter who is lost through death, injury, or sickness. It can also mean a soldier who is captured or missing in action.
Now, when you hear the word casualty, your English will be good enough to know what this news word means. Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. In the United States, the freedom to say what you think is an important right. Listen to this story about a Pakistani group fighting to open the internet.
Activist Farhan Hussein of the media advocacy group Bites for All says his group is involved in 2 court cases against the government for its censorship and surveillance activities.
Censorship means someone or something, usually a government, restricts information. Books, movies, letters, or internet websites are reviewed, and items thought to be offensive often are banned.
So the next time you hear the word censorship, your American English will be good enough to know what this news word means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words, where we talk about words in the news.
This short word can mean big trouble.
Chaos.
Lawmakers return to Washington with urgent domestic priorities like extending federal spending authority and averting another government shutdown, but with an increasingly wary eye towards conflict and chaos from Eastern Europe to the Middle East.
Chaos is the opposite of orderly.
It means a place is very disorganized or a complete mess. It is a place in which events or behavior are not under control. Not a good thing.
So the next time you hear the word chaos, you will know what this news word means, and you can use it in a conversation.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words, where we explain words you hear in the news.
Here's a phrase about something that is very dangerous. The story is about how Americans were preparing to get rid of dangerous weapons in Syria.
What we'll do is convert materials that are chemical weapons themselves or precursors for chemical weapons. We'll change them chemically into compounds that are no longer usable for that.
Chemical weapons. These are weapons that produce poisonous smoke or gas or liquids that can burn the skin.
Chemical weapons can hurt or kill the people who come in contact with them.
Now, the next time you hear the phrase chemical weapons, you will know what these news words mean.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. Here are 2 words. They have to do with a kind of war. Listen to this expert in Washington, D.C.
Civil war. This is civil war. We are not on the brink of civil war. We are not headed towards civil war. This is what civil war looks like.
Civil war. Together, these words mean a war between citizens in the same country. That is different from a war where one country invades or attacks another.
In the U.S., there was a civil war between the people in the North and the South. This was in the 1860s, when Abraham Lincoln was president. Now, when you hear the words Civil War, you will know what these news words mean. Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words.
This is a word you hear in stories about fighting or war.
Combat.
Police in Ferguson, Missouri, dressed in military uniforms with assault weapons and armored combat vehicles, fired tear gas to break up demonstrations following the shooting death of Michael Brown.
Combat means a fight between individuals or groups. Combat is another word for battle.
In this story, they talked about combat vehicles, which protected the police.
Armored combat vehicles are usually used in wars.
Police sometimes use them for protection from crowds.
Now, the next time you hear the word combat, you will know what this news word means.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words. Here's a story about journalists keeping secret the names of people who give them information.
Confidential.
The ability to keep sources confidential is central to the practice of journalism, and it's very difficult for journalists to be able to do their job, which is upholding our democracy, ensuring that the government is transparent and accountable if they're not allowed to keep their sources confidential.
Confidential means to keep a secret. Sometimes journalists keep secret the names of their sources to prevent them from getting into trouble. Friends also keep information confidential.
Now, when you hear the word confidential, you will know what this news word means.
Find us and friend us on Facebook. VOA Learning English. Welcome to Voice of America's News Words. Listen to U.S. Senator John McCain speaking about the Middle East crisis.
They will pose a direct threat to the security of the United States. I say to the critics who say do nothing and let them fight it out, you cannot confine this conflict to Iraq and Syria.
Here, the word confine means to keep inside, to keep from spreading. Senator McCain was speaking in favor of the United States doing more to fight terrorism in the Middle East.
He said the conflict cannot be contained to just two countries. Now, when you hear the word confine, you will know what it means.
For more news words, visit our website at learningenglish.voanews.com.
Welcome to the Voice of America's News Words, where we teach you about words in the news.
When you hear the word consensus in a news story, what does it mean? Consensus.
The authors came to a consensus. No region is left untouched, says climate analyst Kelly Levin of the World Resources Institute, speaking to us by Skype.
Consensus means to agree or to share the same opinion about something.
In our story, the authors agreed on the same information. The scientists reached a consensus or agreed that climate change is a major problem.
Now, when you hear the word consensus, your American English will be good enough to use it in a conversation.